morning, YouTube. We are back again, but today we are obviously going to talk about Black Ops 7, which was just announced yesterday, June 8th, during the Xbox Showcase. We got a bit of a preview. It was not the official trailer, but we got just enough to clearly get everybody curious. So, but a couple of things that I want to talk about. I'm not even going to go over the trailer. We're going to go over some screenshots and we're going to discuss things that I personally would like to see as far as the direction of the game, just based on the last 5 years of Warzone. I'm not going to get too much into multiplayer because, 6v6 respawn multiplayer FPS shooters are kind of, all the same. You want cool weaponry and you want the game to flow and be smooth. So that's kind of self-explanatory. So I'm gonna try to focus more on like big map resurgence, those kind of things. So obviously, as we can see here, this is the cover art. It is a throwback homage to Black Ops 2, if you don't recall. But yeah, so let's go on. Let's take a look at some screenshots, and I'll start with this one. So obviously, I clipped it right from YouTube, so I don't mind all this. But this screenshot is interesting to me because the first thing you notice is you got the 4 operators with the wingsuits, which automatically give us Blackout vibes. So Blackout was the first official BR that released before Warzone. So depending on who you are, you may or may not be familiar with it. You may or may not have played it. So Blackout, unlike Warzone, it was a big map. It had different POIs, typical big map style. But the difference with Blackout was there were no loadouts, right? So like if you play Warzone, you get money, and then you go to a buy station, you buy a loadout, or you wait for the free loadout that happens twice a game. With Blackout, it was all ground loot. So the weapon balancing was better in the sense that you could kind of survive depending on the kind of weapon you had. Obviously, if you got an AR or an SMG or something versus a sniper, it depends if you could snipe or not. But things like that, you played the game based off ground loot. Now, the game had limitations because at the time it was not crossplay. So if you were on PC, couldn't play with your console friends. If you were on console, couldn't play with your PC friends. And at the same time, it was not free either. Like I said, they were learning, trial and error. It was new, so I don't really fault them for that. But Blackout was a success. People liked it. Despite having no crossplay. People enjoyed the BR of it. Now, naturally, most BRs, with the exception of Warzone, most BRs function off the ground loot system where you loot for your weapons. Some BRs, let's say like Fortnite, you loot for rarity of weapons. So it's usually like gray, green, blue, purple, orange, right? Orange normally being like the best version, has the most attachments, does the most damage, and then with like gray being like a basic weapon with nothing on it. So most BRs operate in this function. Other BRs operate where you get weapons, and you might get like a rarity weapon, like a blue or a green weapon, but then you also have to loot for attachments. You loot for optics, you loot for extra bigger magazines, things like that, right? Stocks for recoil, whatever. You have your Apexes who do that. You have your PUBGs, things like that. But regardless, it still operates off of the ground loot system where you can't just get money, go to a buy station, and buy your pre-made weapon like Warzone did. That was the thing that Warzone introduced that kind of it was a new mix into BR, right? It was get your loadout, it's your custom weapon with your attachments that you wanted to build it with. But to me, after 5 years of Warzone, I feel like I want this back. I feel like I want the Blackout vibes back. I want to just go back to the system of ground loot only. Now, there are ways we can get around it being ground loot while having loadouts. So my approach would be, because I know there's gonna be backlash from a certain portion of the community who the only reason they love Warzone is because of the loadout, right? They get to use their custom weapons. But I think, and I'm almost certain Blackout was kind of like this. I'm not entirely sure, but I know Fortnite kind of does this where you can pre-configure your weapons. Let's say with camos and things like that before you load into the game, and then when you open a crate, whatever weapon comes out of it. Let's say if you put a camo on your SMGs, when you loot an SMG, it's gonna have your camo that you preloaded before you got into the game, right? So we could kind of do the same thing going forward, where okay, we're not buying loadouts, but let's say I configured. Let's just use the M4 for example, classic Call of Duty weapon. I pre-configured my M4 that I grinded in multiplayer. I have all my attachments. I have my camo on it. Now, when I'm looting the map, if I find an M4, it's going to be my M4 with my attachments, right? That's what's going to come out of the crate. So I don't have to go buy the loadout. I don't have to go buy the M4. But if I happen to loot an M4 in the loot pool, it's going to be my M4, right? So I feel like, to me, this is going to be a good compromise. And I think this is also going to help with weapon balancing. Like I said, Blackout had a really good weapon balancing because it was all ground loot, and everybody had an opportunity to win the game. Granted, yes, some weapons were better than others, but within reason. So I feel like watching this little scene from the trailer, I see the wingsuits, I see the map. This is Avalon. This was kind of leaked before, this big BR map. I feel like, to me, we gave Warzone 5 years. We did the whole loadout thing. I think it's time to shake it up again. And I think it's time to go back and do what the other games are doing. Let's give COD, let's go back to COD feeling like an original BR, where it is just the ground loot system. Because one of the things I personally hate about Warzone right now is so many people will just camp loadouts or just camp buy stations because they know somebody has to come here to buy their loadout, right? So you almost predeterminedly know, like, someone will eventually have to come to this buy station if they don't already have their loadout. Or if somebody is coming back from the gulag, which is another thing Warzone did, it's a second chance to get back into the game. I do think we should keep gulags, but if they know, like, hey, someone's always going to be coming back from gulag because the gulag is open up until like late game, a lot of teams will play very ratty and they will just camp buy stations knowing like someone has to come over here and we're just going to rat them out. Or when the free loadout comes down, a lot of people will say, oh, if a free loadout is coming down, that means someone on this team must still be alive. Whether it be the whole team or one person or two people, someone on this team is still alive because there's a loadout here that doesn't belong to me. I'm going to camp this loadout. And that kind of ratty behavior, to me, it's like, it goes against the essence of gaming. It goes against the essence of building skill. It goes against gaming integrity in a way, because you're playing a battle royale where it's really all about the last team standing or the last man standing if you're playing solo. But when you're just ratting other people's stuff, it's like, that's not skill. That's not competitive integrity. That's just it's almost like a cheap shot, right? And it's just it leaves such a sour taste in the entire community's mouth of gaming. So I want to take that aspect away from the game and force people to go back to, you have to loot for weapons and then you just have to fight it out. There is no, hey, let's just take a position on this buy station and the next person who runs through, we're all just gonna team shoot them. It's like, that's such snake behavior, right? Like I said, it's a lack of integrity. It's a lack of, I don't even consider you a gamer at that point. Like if that's the only way you strategize, I don't even consider you an authentic gamer, right? I have no respect for you. So to me, it's like Call of Duty tried it. They tried to be unique with the whole loadout thing and the buy station. We gave it 5 years, and it's just it has forced that style of gamer, the rat gamer, right? And to me, it's like they're not gonna change their playstyle because to them it's an easy kill. So we need to just let's make the game what other BRs are, which is you drop in and you ground loot and you fight from there. All right, let's if they're not gonna have integrity, then we're gonna take away the option for them to be rats, and that's it. And this image with the wingsuits, it just gives me blackout vibes, and I hope we mix things up starting with BO7. I hope we carry this forward and change up the feel of BR because also not for nothing, but even for those rat players, even for those players who lack integrity, I feel like this is what we're missing. I feel like this may be the thing that triggers the change so that they can at least give a genuine attempt at becoming better players. To say, okay, man, I can't rat anymore. I have to just learn how to be a better BR player. I have to just learn how to rotate around the map better. I have to just learn how to take power positions. And listen, and I don't care if you're the guy who's just gonna play building to building. That's fine. That if you have to play slower, if you have to play more strategic, cool. I'm with that. I just don't like the ratting. I don't like the I'm gonna bait this buy station. I'm gonna bait this loadout. That's what I don't like. If you're a person who likes to play the circle and hey, I'm gonna just hold this building until the circle forces me to rotate, okay, cool. It's my job to clear a building that I'm moving into. But if you play Warzone, buy stations tend to be out in the open. Kind of hard to clear an entire area when a buy station is out in the open anyways, right? So if you're not gonna have competitive integrity, if you're not working on actually trying to become a better gamer, then let's just take it away and let's go back to a classic BR. Like I said, this is the way every other game does it. Fortnite, Apex, PUBG, you name it. The list goes on. This is the way other games do it. I think it's time for COD to go back to that. Because again, they did it with Blackout and then Warzone dropped and they switched it up on people with the loadouts and the buy stations. We gave it 5 years, guys. It's not improving competitive integrity. It's not improving the gameplay experience. It's affecting the gameplay loop, and it's not making better players out of people. So you know what? It didn't work. In my opinion, the loadout thing didn't work. It's nice. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I like it. I like the loadout feature. I just don't like the way it currently works. So let's switch it up. You still grind multiplayer, you still grind up your weapons, your camos, your attachments, but it's just going to be part of the ground loot pool. If you happen to pull out, your MP5, your MP7, your M4, oh, it's going to be my MP5. It has my camo, it has my attachments, but it's coming from the ground loot, right? So that's one of the things that when I saw the trailer, I watched this shot and I was just like, man, I so wish we give Warzone a refresh. We give the BR a refresh and go back to Blackout, to the way Blackout did it. I just feel like that's gonna work better, and as we can see, kind of futuristic, not entirely. It's hard to judge just watching the futuristic Marines playing up here. But we'll see when the game drops. Obviously, zombies. I'm a zombies fanatic. I love zombies. So I'm always looking forward to zombies. I am gonna look forward to grinding the zombies camo. I always do. I always do the zombies mastery. So to me, this was an instant like, let's go. Definitely wanna do zombies. I hope the camo looks good. I might do it regardless. Let's be honest. Like I said, I love zombies. I love the mindless grind because that's what it is. It is kind of a mindless grind, so it's not for everybody. but I like it. Um, I saw this image and this gave me Rebirth vibes, like back when it was Alcatraz. You remember Alcatraz had like the worn down Alcatraz Island? This is giving me that vibe. Like we're gonna, because this game, if you think about it, if you're looking at the planes here, this is a more future version of COD. I feel like we're gonna go back to the worn down Alcatraz Island, which I'm personally tired of Rebirth. But if Rebirth got a new look, I wouldn't mind trying it. And I feel like maybe this isn't Rebirth. Like I said, this was just one clip from the trailer, but it is giving me Alcatraz vibes. If you played Alcatraz back, back in the day, you would know that there was like a worn down, decrepit version of Alcatraz slash Rebirth Island. And this is the vibes I'm getting. I don't know yet. This is pure speculation, but this is the vibe I'm getting from this. Over here, I don't know if this is a multiplayer map or if this is part of Avalon, but there's like floating islands on the top left. I don't know what's happening here, but I'm liking the vibes. The map look like, it's weird because the map doesn't look futuristic, but then you have these floating islands. So I feel like they found a good middle ground where we're not getting laser guns and things like that, right? Which is, I personally, I don't really like that vibe in COD. I don't like laser weapons and things like that. I like modern weapons, M4s, things like that. But I like the future vibes. Like, give me kind of a jetpack ability, but keep my weapons and my operators grounded. Like, I also don't want to see operators who are like half robots and things like that. Like, I'm not, to each their own. I know there's people who love it. This is personal preference, straight up. So let's just get that out the way. This is personal preference. I know some of you might be like, no, but I like that. And that's cool. Personal preference. I'm not into the whole cybernetic, half android arms type thing. That's not my thing. If it's your thing, cool. It doesn't make or break the game for me, but I think the weapons for me definitely make or break the game for me. I don't like weapons that are too futuristic. Like, I don't want any energy weapons. I don't want any laser weapons. I don't want any plasma weapons. I'm not into that. I'll tell you right now. If they go down that route, I straight up, I'm not playing it. I don't like that. Now, I don't think they're going down that route just based on some of the stuff they showed us. I don't think that's gonna be a thing, but because especially like when you look at the cover, he's holding kind of like a regular weapon here. And in fact, let me see if I could. I said I wasn't gonna play the trailer, but maybe I am. And there's a reason why I want to play it now that I thought about it, because I want to show a specific thing on here. Let's see. Let's bring this up. Because obviously when it starts, we have this, which this is kind of what I'm talking about, right? Like, if these are the operators, it's like, as long as they're not all robotic like this, I'm cool, right? If we have a robotic operator, cool. I just don't want all of them to be like this. So, like, I just want to fast forward to where they show him with the weapons. Where is it? It's all the way at the end somewhere, right? So, like, right here, see, this weapon looks grounded to me. It looks, so he it's like a modern warfare soldier borderlining into the future. So the weapon itself, you could even see by the iron sights, it has classic iron sights. The weapon itself, it has like a classic mag, so to me, I like this. I like this era of weaponry. And him, he looks like a tactical soldier. I like that. This is the vibe I want. And then even the pistol, when you look at the pistol, it has like a semi-futuristic pistol, but it still looks grounded like a pistol, right? So this is what I want. And again, this is just perception. I'm not saying, there's people who love it. I get it. You want the future, you want robots, you want lasers. Me personally, I think I like what they did with semi-future, semi-modern era. They didn't stray too far from it, right? And then just to give you another example what I mean, I think it's the next scene. I muted the music because I'm 100% sure I'm gonna get hit with a copyright. It's Nine Inch Nails. So it's where they show the suit. Cause like, look, this is a futuristic, you know, aircraft, right? But the map still looks like Verdansk, for just to give you an example, right? Like it looks like a regular old hillside map, right? But then look, like I said, like you have these floating islands here, so that it has some future vibes, but still grounded in like modern era, right? Same thing. You look at this map, regular houses. You know, you're not seeing laser towers or the year 3000 type stuff. Even though they got the wingsuits, looks cool. I like it. Grounded. Same thing here. Futuristic planes. Map still looks modern era. Right here, he's using the cloak. He uses the cloak, but notice he's still using like modern weaponry, right? You can see the outline of him in disguise right here. And then when he uncloaks, he's still using modern weapons, right? I like that. I like that groundedness. So far, I'm getting good vibes from BO7. But because I'm more of a big map player, a resurgence player, I want the blackout approach. I don't want loadouts anymore. We can still have the buy stations, if we want to buy things like UAVs and things like that. But I don't want to have to go to a buy station. That's my thing. I don't want to have to go to a buy station to get my weapons. I want it to be even across. I want to get rid of the rattiness. I want to increase competitive integrity. And like I said, overall, I just want players to focus on becoming better players by playing the actual game, by learning map rotations, by learning what a power position is based on learning POIs and learning areas, not just, hey, I'm scared, I'm just gonna camp this buy station and wait till somebody comes by and shoot them in the back. Like, you're not gonna become better that way. And if you look at some of my other content, I make content to help people become better players. So to me, this is just the way I look at gaming, not just Call of Duty. Any game that I play, I look at it like, let's all just become better gamers. Let's all just improve. And so looking at BO7, it's a very short trailer, very short sneak peek. But, like I said, look, this is futuristic, but I can already tell this is going to be a kill streak. So I'm cool with that. That's why I said I'm cool with putting in some modern stuff, but also keeping it grounded and not going too future heavy, not going too far ahead of time. Zombies, like I talked about, I'm cool with the vibes. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I like what I see so far, and I don't want to say I have high hopes for BO7 because we say this every year, but I will say that I like what I'm seeing as far as the feel, but I just have a wish that for Big Map, if it's going to still be called Warzone or whatever, maybe they call it Blackout 2. I don't know yet. I hope they change the system. I don't want loadouts anymore. I want Call of Duty to feel like a BR again, because they did it before and it was good. I want to go back to that. We gave Warzone 5 years, and if you ask me, it got a little stale. It got a little redundant. So I think it's time we need a refresher. We need to mix it up, and we need to go back to the roots of where, Battle Royale for Call of Duty started, and that was Blackout. So let me know what y'all think. Give me your opinion. Do you want Warzone to continue exactly the way it is, loadouts and things like that? Or do you think we should go back and give it a try in a more traditional way, at least for a year, just to see how it vibes, see how it plays out? Or if you have a third opinion, I don't know, if you have another idea, like, let me know in the comments. I'm always curious to see, like, what people want out of the game, their mindset. Like I said, I'm all about competitive integrity. I'm all about helping people get better. I want to see people become better players, but I want the game to be fun, right? Like, I don't want the game to die because there's cheese or there's this rattiness or something so overpowered. So Let me know. Hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I definitely look forward to reading everybody's opinions and points of views.